Hey there, it's Mr. Cho, and today we'll be learning about excretion in humans, chapter 8 for the biology. Okay, let's skip this. So, why is excretion necessary? Okay, learning outcome, we need to define excretion and explain the importance of removing nitrogenous and other compounds from the body. Okay, so we eat a lot of different food, right, every day. Some of these food contain substances that are useful, where some substances are not so useful. So our body also produces waste products during metabolism, right? For example, during respiration, we release carbon dioxide, etc. And so these are called metabolic waste products or excretory products. And our body will need to remove these products. So what are some of the more common metabolic waste products? Right, firstly, we have carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a product of aerobic respiration, and the carbon dioxide level in our blood is usually not so harmful. However, in certain cases when there's an abnormally high level of carbon dioxide in the blood, a condition called hypercarbia occurs. Right? And this person may suffer from headache, confusion, rapid breathing, and premature heartbeat. Now, something interesting about carbon dioxide is that carbon dioxide actually controls our breathing. Right? Many people think that, oh, oxygen is the thing that controls our breathing. We breathe in, yes, we breathe in oxygen, but actually it's the amount of carbon dioxide in our blood that forces us to breathe. Okay, so when there's a high level of carbon dioxide in your body, the pH of your blood will be lowered because carbon dioxide is slightly acidic, and this causes your brain to realize, to detect it, and then your lungs will activate, your diaphragm will move and everything so that you can breathe in. Okay, another waste product is called urea. Urea is formed from excessive amino acids. As we learn about in the digestive system, as adsorbed amino acids are transported to the liver through that hepatic portal vein, and then most of it will then be sent to the body to be assimilated. Assimilated means to be used by the cells to make other cells or to form new cells. Okay, but there will be some excess amino acids in the blood if you eat excessive amounts of protein, or even normal amount of protein also, you will get some excess. Okay, and so these amino acids will be deaminated in the liver. And so during deamination, part of the amino acid molecule will be removed and converted into urea. The other part can actually be used to convert into glucose. So it is a useful process. Okay, but this urea is toxic, and it has to be removed by the kidney. Okay, so is urea in the blood harmful? Yes, it is, right? Because normally our body controls the amount of urea in our blood and keeps it at a safe level. However, if there's abnormally high concentration of urea, this can cause things like abdominal pain, nausea, and vomiting. It can even cause irregular heartbeat and muscle cramp. And most of the time, the reason why the urea becomes too high in the blood is because of kidney failure, right? And something went wrong with the kidney. Okay, now just want to show you this quick picture. This is called uremic frost. Okay, so this happens when the kidneys are not working well, like kidney disease or kidney failure. And so without the kidneys being able to do their job of filtration, we will get a lot of urea in the blood. Urea is actually can form a crystal. So it can actually go through the sweat. As you can see on this person's head, his scalp, it comes out in the sweat, and when the sweat evaporates, then it leaves behind the crystals, these urea crystals. You can see it on the person itself, and this is really dangerous, right? Because that means that there's excessively high amount of urea in the body already. Okay. Oops. Where was I? Okay. So, the other two waste products are mineral salts and ions. Okay, our body needs some kind of mineral salts. For example, we will need calcium, right, for strong bones. We also need things like iron, right, to build the hemoglobin that's found in the red blood cells. However, excessive salts or ions can be harmful because these salts will lower the water potential in our blood plasma, and this will make our blood plasma more concentrated. That means that there's too much salts in our blood. Okay, so this will cause water to move out from the tissue cells into the blood by osmosis, and the cells would become crenated. You remember the red blood cells being crenated, looks like spiky. That's what it happens when the cells are so dehydrated. Okay, the kidneys will need to remove excess salts from the body. Okay, so let's look at some of these food products. So things like calcium, calcium, iron, potassium, zinc, and magnesium. Right, these are minerals, and we need a correct amount of them in our body. Right, too much of it will be harmful. Okay, lastly, water. Now, water, as we know, is essential for life, and it is also produced during aerobic respiration, but it can also be considered as a metabolic product. Okay, why? Because excessive water in the body is harmful. It will cause the increase in the water potential in the blood plasma, and so if the water potential is too high, water will enter into the cells, then the cells can burst and lyse. Remember, we learned this in chapter on the osmosis. Okay, so excess water should be removed in the body. Okay, so all of this will be done by the process of excretion. Okay, so this is a key term over here. You will need to memorize this. Excretion is the removal of metabolic waste products, toxic substances, and substances in excess of the body's requirement. Okay, so keyword here, excess, right? And yeah, the rest is all. Actually, everything is a keyword. Okay, so let's talk about how these different excretory products are being removed. There are two main organs in our body that does removal, and these are our lungs, our kidneys, and some will say our skin also. Okay, so lungs remove carbon dioxide in the air that we expire. Expire means exhale. And the kidneys will remove excessive mineral salts through the urine as well as through the skin. Some salts can be removed through the skin. That's why sometimes after you sweat, you will notice that there's some like white thing on your skin. Okay, but usually most of it goes out through the kidneys. Okay, excess water is removed through the kidneys, and of course in sweat also. And urea is removed through the kidneys, and traces of it is found in the skin, although not very much of it. Okay, that's why it's called traces. Okay, so why is excretion important? Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, why is excretion important? It's because these waste products and toxic substances, they should not be allowed to accumulate to a level that becomes harmful to the body. Okay, fun fact, right? We know about sweat. Okay, so some waste products like urea, all these can be removed through the sweat, although a lesser amount of it. Do you know why our sweat can lead to an unpleasant body odor? Okay, this is because of bacteria. Okay, so bacteria is on our skin, and so when the sweat mixes with the bacteria actually eats up certain things in the sweat, and then this can cause odor. Right? Some people naturally have a bad smell because of certain bacteria on the skin, and some people don't have a smell because their bacteria is like cooperating with them and it's not smelly. Okay, but yes, talking about sweat, some people use a chemical that will reduce sweating. However, this chemical may contain aluminium, and the aluminium might block out the sweat duct, and this can reduce the amount of sweat that will reach the skin surface. This isn't very good because sweat has two purposes, right? Firstly, sweat helps to cool you down, right? It's very important to cool you down because of the heat capacity of your sweat, so that when you sweat, right, you are removing a lot of heat from your body, and also the sweat helps to remove all these waste products from your body also. Okay, so you can read this and you can decide who is correct. Okay, let's practice. Okay, what do you understand by each of the following terms? Metabolic waste products, excretion, and give 2 examples of excretion for each state of excretory products. Okay, you can just refer to the previous page. Alright, let's move on to the key part of today's lesson. Alright, so what makes up the human urinary system? Identify the kidneys, the ureter, the bladder, and the urethra, and state their functions in excretion. Okay, so I'm sure all of you had the experience of feeling urgent and needing to go to the toilet. And why is that the case? Right, that's because our kidneys are working constantly, right, to produce urine. So what is the human urinary system? It consists of the kidneys, the ureters, a urinary bladder, and the urethra. Okay, so let's start from the kidneys first. Now the kidneys are bean-shaped. Okay, not bean-sized, bean-shaped organ. They are around this size. Don't know how to describe. They are this size. Okay, and the average kidney, right, is about 10 cm. Yeah, so it's like this much, and about 5 cm wide. Okay, and the kidneys will lie just above the waistline. Okay, then the left kidney is slightly higher than right kidney. I don't know why. I think it's just evolution. Okay, and the main function of the kidneys is to excrete urea and excess salt and water as urine. Okay, so left kidney, right kidney. Okay, remember, every time you look at pictures of the body, it's all mirror image. Okay, because yeah, it's just mirror image lah. So you just flip this picture, put it on your own kidneys, and you will see what I mean. Okay, there are a lot of this stuff over here, so let's also go through them. Okay, renal artery. Okay, renal artery, it carries the blood from the heart, right, towards the kidneys, and the renal veins, they carry the blood from the kidneys back towards the heart. Okay, this vena cava aorta, these are just like a representation, okay, of the aorta that is further up at the heart, and the vena cava that is further up at the heart also. Okay, so let's talk about point number 2. Okay, this ureter. Okay, so these ureter are not blood vessels. These are different things. Okay, so this is for the urine to pass through. This is for blood to move through. Okay, so ureter. Ureter is a narrow tube that connects the kidney to the urinary bladder. Urine from each kidney passes through the ureter to the urinary bladder. Okay, so this is showing a male body actually. Okay, so you can see that there is the 2 ureters, right? One on the left, one on the right. They are both connected down towards the urinary bladder. The urinary bladder is an elastic muscular bag that is located in front of the rectum. It stores urine. Okay, so our rectum is somewhere behind it, then the urinary bladder is in front. Okay, and yeah, I guess you might be aware that guys have a slightly larger urinary bladder. Okay, so yeah, that's why it can hold a bit longer. Okay, and lastly, we have this thing called the urethra. This is the duct by which the urine will pass out from the bladder to the outside of the body. Okay, so another fun fact, guys, men, their urethra is also the same tube in which the sperm or the semen passes out through. So for guys, the urethra and this sperm, right, both urine and sperm will pass through the urethra. So basically only one tube. Okay, but for females, they have 2 tubes, alright? Not 2 tubes, two openings basically. Okay, so the urethra and the vagina are 2 separate things. Okay, they are 2 separate tubes. The urethra is for the pee to go out, and then the vagina is for sexual intercourse. Okay, so for guys, you might, yeah, don't assume that the pee comes out from the vagina. It actually comes out from the urethra. Okay, so let's talk about the structure of the kidneys. Make sure I don't miss anything. Yeah, okay, structure of the kidneys. Okay, I'll just talk about the names first. Okay, there'll be a lot of content after this. So that's okay. Let me just give me a moment to resolve something. Okay, and we're back. Okay, so sorry, I got my computer had some problems just now. Okay, so we just learned about the kidney. Alright, so in the kidney there are these hundreds of these nephrons, right? These are the basic functional units of the kidney. Okay, and this area over here is what I call as the outer region, and then these areas, these are called the inner regions. Okay, so all these nephrons, right, they are all connected together, like a bunch of them, and they all lead towards the ureter. Okay, we also have our renal artery, which is connecting there's all of capillaries around this area, and also the renal vein, which is then carrying the blood back towards the heart. Okay, so let's talk about the structure of one of the nephrons. Okay, now the nephron has 4 main parts. Okay, and these are a little bit tricky to remember, but well, yeah, just try it and then test yourself, and then you'll eventually get it. Okay, so the names of these parts are called Bowman capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and the distal convoluted tubule. And there's also this part called the collecting duct. Okay, so let's start with the first part over here. Okay, so this part is called the Bowman's capsule. Okay, over here. Right, why is it called a Bowman's capsule? It's because of the word bow. Okay, as you can see, okay, you can also see over here, this part in yellow, all these things, they look like a C shape, right? Almost like a cup shape. But they also reminded people of a bow, right? In that era, you know, people often use bow and arrow, right? So it looks a bit like a bow, and so it's called a Bowman's capsule. Okay, so the nephron this is the start of the nephron, right? This Bowman capsule. We also see that there's all these red regions. These are your blood capillaries, and there's a special name given to the blood capillary called a glomerulus. We'll talk more about this in the next page. Okay, anyway, moving on from the Bowman's capsule, which is over here, we now move on to the next section. We can say this part over here, and also this part over here. These are all just multiple of the same thing. Okay, so here, this one is called the proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, now the word proximal means nearer. Okay, so that's why it's called it's nearer. It's nearer to the front. Okay, and so this is a short convoluted tubule, and it will eventually straighten out as it goes towards the inner regions of the kidney. Okay, why is it called convoluted? It's because the word convoluted means highly coiled, folded, or twisted. And if you look closely, right, at this area, look at all these folds and twists, kind of things, right? This is why it's called convoluted. Okay, so this area, the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, it then goes down to this part over here. You see like a U-turn, right? It's like a loop. So this is known as the loop of Henle. Okay, it's of course it's named after the person who discovered it, called Mr. Henle. And so this is an area where the tubule will extend further into this inner region over here. Right, this is the inner region, and then it will make a U-turn back out into the outer region. So U-turn, now it's out in the outer region. Okay, this is called a loop of Henle. Next, we have the distal convoluted tubule. The word distal means further. Okay, so when the tubule enters into the inner region of the kidney again, it becomes convoluted again. And this part of the tubule is called the distal convoluted tubule. Okay, so where is it here? It's over here. Okay, so this is the distal convoluted tubule over here. And then eventually you go down into this big line over here that is known as the collecting duct. Okay, so the collecting duct is where all the tubules, right, from the these various nephrons, they all combine together, and then it leads out into the funnel-like space that is leading to the ureter. Okay, so over here, all these collecting ducts, sorry, I said a bit wrong just now. All these collecting ducts, right, from this one over here, from this one, they will eventually combine towards the ureter that we have seen over here. Okay, so it's kind of like collecting duct number 1, collecting duct number 2, etc., all go down to the ureter. Sorry. Okay, let's quickly run through this one more time, okay, in more detail. We won't talk about how urine is formed yet. We just know the names of different things. Okay, so this is a zoom in picture of everything. So here we see the blood that is flowing in through the renal artery from the heart. It then goes up over here, and then it goes into this thing called a efferent arteriole. Okay, remember that arteries would divide into arterioles, and then it will go into this area, which is a very interesting area called the glomerulus. Glomerulus is a very special blood capillary. It's a very unique kind of blood capillary. Okay, then the blood goes out through the efferent arteriole. Okay, so what is happening at this point is that as the blood moves through this glomerulus, there is a change in pressure. Okay, so the change in pressure causes the waste products to actually diffuse or even undergo osmosis to enter into the Bowman capsule, which is this brown part over here, which will then go down all this other thing. Okay, I will explain more about that in the next part, but this is a quick summary. Okay, so the waste products go down into this. Some of the products, some useful products, will continue to diffuse back into the blood capillaries over here. Like from here, go back in, right? Because sometimes our body needs these products again. And then the unneeded products, right, will just go all the way down through this loop of Henle, back up through the distal convoluted tubule, then down again into the collecting ducts, and then further down into the ureters. Okay, then what happens to our blood? Our blood will be going through all of these arterioles and capillaries, and then and then it will then combine back into the venules, and then eventually combine back into the veins of the renal vein. Okay, so here there's this thing called efferent and efferent arteriole. It's a little bit like similar in sound. So how I remember it is that efferent with A is when the blood arrives. Okay, so the blood arrives to the glomerulus, and efferent, which is the E, is where the blood exits the glomerulus. Okay, cool. Alright. Okay, so with that, let's just do this question. Okay, name the parts A to D. So what is A? Answer? That's right, it's a nephron. B is your renal artery. And C is the renal vein, and D is the collecting duct. D is not collecting duct, sorry. D is the ureter. Oh my goodness, what time is it already? Okay, what's the function for D? Right, the ureter is where all the urine will be passed down through towards the urinary bladder. Okay, so let's pause here and we'll continue on in the next lesson. See ya, bye.